Hi, this is Mark from LongIslandWatch.com. Last week we did the top five do's. My top five do's for mechanical watches in general, kind of mostly mechanical. Anyway, so I figured today we'll do top five don'ts. Now I could easily just flip my top five do's into don'ts, but I'm obviously not going to. I'm going to try to approach it from a different angle and also give you different don'ts, not all relating to wear and tear and not all related, so kind of a nice little assortment of different things. I did want to say that in my top five do video, check it out if you haven't seen it, one of the comments I came up a few times that people recommended was buying extra straps for watches. I thought this one was excellent. There is no better way to make your watch look fresh and new than putting a strap on it. You could spend $10 on a strap, $20, $50, $100, $200. It doesn't matter. A new strap will change up the look of your watch, and maybe that is a future video for me. Maybe one watch with 3 different straps showing you how it changes the look. And I am taking some of my own advice from the last video. I had said wear what you have and enjoy. Don't put it away. So I'm wearing my 116509 Daytona with the blue dial. Kind of tough for the blue dial to come in if the light is not extreme, but love this watch, love the heft, and I am naked on this wrist. So my top 5 don'ts. Some of these are going to be kind of sound funny coming from a guy that sells watches. It sounds like I'm hurting my own business. Number 1, not in order of importance really, but number 1, watches are not investments at all. Small caveat, obviously, certain brands such as Rolex and Patek will hold their value, or if you're, lucky to have something that is blowing up in popularity, like if you had an old, all steel sub that you purchased 20 years ago and you want to sell it now, obviously you can get it for, you can make some money on it. But watches are not investments. They are consumables. They will deteriorate in value. Besides, Rolex, Patek, and some of the other top brands that will hold their value or may appreciate, because they artificially increase the prices every year, much like the diamond industry. Watches with precious metals, stones, those obviously can always be melted down to constituent parts and sold like a solid gold Rolex. It's always worth its weight in gold, I guess, right? At a minimum. So there is always some value there. But on a general, if you're looking to invest $2,000, put it in something stable. I'm not an advisor, but a mutual fund. In 20 years, you'll have far more than if you would have bought a $1,000 to $2,000 Omega, Tag, Movado, Seiko, whatever it might be. So, number 1, or don't treat watches as an investment. I'm going to flip around. I'm going to come to another finance one later. I'm just looking at my little notes here. Number 2. Do not attempt to modify or regulate a watch if you're not trained, unless you are comfortable with that watch becoming a paperweight. It is so simple when you are modifying a watch to ruin it, especially if you're trying to regulate a watch, because you are trying to move a lever that is mere millimeters away from the heart of the watch, the balance spring. And if you pluck it, well, that watch is going straight to the watchmaker for probably new spring, new balance, whatever it might be. Likewise, you want to change a bezel and you wind up scratching the heck out of the case, you probably won't be happy. So, practice makes perfect. Leave it to the pros. If you want to modify your watch, if you want to do it yourself, just kind of practice first. Make sure you're comfortable with your own skills. Nothing like taking a $300 watch that you just bought, swapping out the bezel, and turning it into, like I said, a paperweight or something with a giant scratch on it that you don't want to look at anymore. And I've heard it from many, many people, customers that email us and say, I wish I hadn't attempted it. What do I do at this point? So that'd be number 2. Mod with a little bit of know-how, okay? Let's see. Number 3. And this kind of goes almost with my number 5 from the last one, but don't believe everything you see on YouTube, right? You don't have to keep up and do whatever everybody says, the perfect 3-watch collection, the perfect 5-watch collection. do what you want to do. You can watch it if you want to get ideas, that's fine. But whenever a YouTuber or a blog or something shows you something, remember a lot of times they have a vested interest in it. Like every video you see here, I have a vested interest about every product I show you, but that's obvious. But just remember that is a lot of times other people may have their own best interests in mind. So make sure you're looking at everything from an objective point of view, because there's certainly a lot of erroneous information out there. And you don't want to fall victim to somebody who's really just trying to sell something, and maybe isn't being totally open and forthright about it. So my number 3, again, in hand in hand with my number 5 from the last video, make up your own mind, make your own decisions, do what you want to do. My fourth one, it's kind of odd, but don't wind your watches like crazy if you have an automatic. Do not sit there every night and every morning just hand wind it, unless, of course, it is a hand wound watch. Hand wound watches are built to be hand wound. Automatic watches generally are not built to be okay, wound continuously. You know, I went over this with Damasco. When they made their new A26 movement, they changed a lot of the manual winding gears because in an ETA, people hand wind them so much that they wear out the brass gears. Automatic watch is meant to be wound just a couple of times, get it started, okay, put it on, wear it. It will wind with the rotor. There's no need to sit there and wind it like nuts constantly, because you're really just going to shorten the life of parts of the movement. It requires service a little prematurely. Remember, just kind of get it started or shake it and then put it on your wrist, wear it, enjoy it. The normal person's lifestyle will wind a watch to full wind but before the end of the day hits. That was my 4th, right? So my 5th one. This one gets me every time. Buy what you can afford. Okay? I'll say it again. Buy what you can afford. It's unfortunate that sometimes we'll sell a watch to somebody, $200-300, and literally 10 hours later, you get an email saying, "Can you please cancel this order? I just found out my car needs new brakes." No problem. But if $300 is car needs new brakes or I need a new watch, maybe the $300 investment shouldn't have been in a watch. Maybe $50 or $100 should have been in a watch. Buy what you can comfortably afford. People say don't go into debt over a watch. It depends how you want to say that or how you want to approach it. We offer things like Affirm, which is like paying over time, which is basically just smoothing out the speed bumps. PayPal's, bill over time or bill me later, whatever they call it. Again, interest-free or low interest, that's just kind of smoothing out the speed bumps. But but make sure you can afford it. If you can't afford it, maybe you should save up a bit more before you take the major dive. I know this one coming from me, a guy who's trying to maximize every penny you spend, is kind of odd, but I don't want to see people put themselves in financial distress simply because they had to buy a watch. Just give it time. Buy what the budget allows. It's always a good idea to set up. Other people always say set a budget and work towards that budget. I think I did all 5. That's it. So this has been Mark from LongIslandWatch.com, giving you my 5 watch don'ts. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so. If you have any questions or comments, put them down below, and I'll be sure to address them as soon as I can. Also, like in the last video, give me some of your don'ts. Would love to read them. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.